So we had mentioned earlier about having someone else owe you money and then going to the bank and borrowing against it. Well, there's actually a process called discounting a note. Where someone does owe you money and you are going to turn around and sell that to the bank. Now, the examples we've done so far, it was just at the end of their credit period of their invoice. So there's no interest added to it. What we're going to look at now is, let's say they hit that end of their credit period. So let's look at Carson. I'm using a different name. Are you proud of me? Sorry. I might be a little bit sarcastic.
You could have used Lexi.
Carson purchases $4,600 of merchandise from Pedro. We just went through an election. For some reason, that name stuck in my head. The vote for Pedro. At the end of the credit period, Carson can't pay. So, Pedro, now, during the credit period, there's no interest charge. And for those of you that have taken any accounting classes, at the end of the credit period, usually in that invoice, there's disclosures in there that say at the end of the credit period, this converts into a note, or interest will be charged starting at the end of the credit period at 9% or 12% interest. So it converts into a note. So Pedro extends an 8% 90-day note. To Carson for the amount which of course was the $4,600. Here's the problem. After 23 days, Pedro needs some money. Pedro's options, he can go to Carson and say, hey, you owe me this money. Can you pay me early? Then I'll, adjust the interest appropriately. And Carson could say, yeah, sure, here you go. Or Carson could say, nah, I don't have it yet. I still got, 90 minus 23? I still got 67 days to go. I don't have to pay you for 67 days. So Pedro's other option is to go to the bank and say, hey, this guy says he's going to pay me this much in 90 days. I need to borrow against it. So that's what's going to happen here. Pedro discounts the note, hence the phrase discounting a note, to a bank at 9%. So the bank charges a discount rate. That discount rate in this case is the 9%. So what we want to find here is we want to find Pedro's proceeds. How much does Pedro actually get? So I'll write that in. Find Pedro's proceeds. So step one of this process is to find the maturity value of the original note. Well, the original note was $4,600, but that was a simple interest note. Simple interest-bearing note. So we still have to add the interest. It was 8% for 90 days. So we got to find the interest on that 4,600 times 0.08 times 90 over 360, which is what, $92? Somebody figure that out. Let me know. Okay, so the maturity value is the 4,600 plus 92, $4,692. So that is the maturity value of the original note. Why is that important? Because that is the amount that Pedro will have at the end of this whole thing. That's the amount that he's taking to the bank. He's going to the bank and saying, I will get $4,692 at the end of this 90 days. What will you give me right now? Step 2. Find the discount period. There's a reason for the stars. The discount period, because this is one of the most common mistakes that gets made on the quiz and the next test. Discount period is the days left in the term. So this was a 90-day note. Pedro discounted it after 23 days. 90 minus 23 is 67 days. That is the discount period. That's how long the bank is going to have to hold this note. How long the bank waits before they get their money. Step 3. Find the bank's discount. The bank's discount is interest, but it is based off of that maturity value times their discount rate times the discount period over 360. So for this one, it's going to be that 4,692. That is the maturity value of the original note. The bank's discount rate, if you remember, is 9%. And the period is 67 over 360. Looks good. Yes. $78.59 is the bank's discount. Step 4. Find Pedro's proceeds. That's kind of a tongue twister for you, isn't it? Pedro's proceeds. The proceeds are the maturity value minus the discount. So here that maturity value was 4,692 minus $78.59. That's going to be $4,613.41. Now notice, Pedro does not get the full $46.92 like he would have if he had waited. But he did still get $13 in interest out of it. There are times when he'll actually get less than the balance if you discount it really early in the note. Any questions on what we did there?
So you would have that extra $78
Yeah, if he would have waited till the end of the 90 days, he would have got the full $46.92. The $78.59 is what the bank charged him for giving him the money early. Now here's the kicker. What do you think happens if Carson doesn't pay back that money? Pedro still has to pay back the $46.92, period. The bank does not have a contract with Carson. Pedro is counting on Carson to pay him back so that money can... Now, usually what happens is when they discount a note, the person who's in Pedro's position would sign over the rights to collect that note to the bank. So Carson would pay directly to the bank, but they're not selling the note. He is technically borrowing against the note, but signing over the rights to collect. If Carson doesn't pay, the bank is not going to spend money to collect that note. They're just going to go to Pedro and say, you pay us and you go after him.
So then if he doesn't pay them, Pedro's out $8,000.
Well, yeah, Pedro's out the 46th. Yeah, he's out the 46.92.
But plus the other.
Well, he still got the 46.13. Yeah, he got this much from the bank, right?
If Carson didn't pay him back.
Yeah, if Carson didn't pay him back, well, Pedro loses $78.59, and he still has to go after Carson for that $4,600.
But won't he still have to pay back the $46.92?
Yeah, what Pedro pays back the bank is this amount, right?
Yeah.
So right now, all it has cost him is $78.59, because the bank gave him this amount, and he gives him back this amount. But yes, he's out that much. But yes, he is still out. What Carson would have paid him was that much. So he's lost that amount. Well, but he got the money from the bank. Does that make sense?
I think you're assuming he keeps that money that he got from the bank.
Yeah.
Assuming
he spends it on
spends
something.
it.
Well, yeah, he does spend it on something. He's really only out about the $46.92 what Carson owes him, because what happens between him and the bank, he gets the money from the bank and has to pay it back. All he's lost there is the discount, and then he's lost the full amount of what Carson's going to pay him. Here, let's do this. Here's Pedro, right? Here's Carson. Carson owes Pedro $46.92 at the end of this time, right?
Yeah.
Here's the bank. The bank gives Pedro $46.13.41. So right now, Pedro's got that much more than what he had.
Oh wait, what about 78? Pedro gives that to the bank.
The 78 the bank keeps.
Okay, already.
The $78.59 never changes hands. That's what the bank subtracted that to figure out what they're going to give to Pedro. Yep. So at the end of the 90 days, what should happen is Carson gives Pedro $46.92. Pedro gives that $46.92 to the bank. Or, depending on the agreement, it might go directly from Carson to the bank. Either way. So if Carson doesn't pay it, the only thing that is gone is this part of the transaction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The rest of this was going to happen no matter what.
Okay, can you erase the arrows in the arrow?
Okay.
She's trying to get at the fact that he gets the money from the bank and he uses it for whatever.
Well, yeah.
And
What?
if Carson isn't paying it back, then he's already out.
Well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to double dip. What you're saying, let's do this. Okay, let's say that I owe you $10, right?
Yeah.
And you go to Vanessa and say, hey, can I borrow $10? Todd's going to pay me back this $10 at the end of the week. So Vanessa gives you $10. At the end of the week, I don't pay you, but you still have to give Vanessa back your $10.
Right.
Well, with Vanessa, you're even. She gave you $10, you gave it back.
Yeah.
With me, I still owe you $10. You're just out what I owe you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? You're not out double what I owe you.
watching.
That's fine.
I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like he's paying the money and he's not getting it, so he's not only is he not getting, he's also paying it out. But he was going to have to pay it out either way. The money, Pedro,
It just makes for his credit records.
yeah, Pedro is going to have to pay this amount to the back to the bank no matter what. Whether he got that amount from Carson or not, he is going to have to give it to the bank. So all that Pedro is out is that Carson never gave him this.
So the bank doesn't have any issue with either of them as long as Pedro pays it back.
Yeah, Pedro is the one that's responsible for paying the bank, period. So the only part of the transaction that didn't happen was Carson did not give Pedro the $46.92. Still confused?
Pedro's just really mad at Carson.
Yeah. And I know what you're saying because Pedro's paying out money and it's not coming in. But the money he's paying out was going to go out either way.
What if Carson never paid him back?
That's what I mean. Like,
What if then, well then,
Yeah, like never ever.
that's where Pedro sends over the two big guys with the baseball bats.
Yeah.
That's what she's trying to get.
Yeah.
Now she's trying.
Yeah, if he never pays him back, he's still out the $46.92.
Lexi, you're right.
We'll just go with it.
Okay. Like I said, I know what you're saying, and I know exactly what your thought process is. I'm just not sure how to counter
The new
it.
names you picked. It just
Yeah.
Screw you up.
That's what we are.
We're going back to Tim, Chris, and Pat, darn it. Now I was going to use Ole and Sven in this one. Oh, sorry. On July 9th,
the dates. You said there was no dates.
sorry. On July 9th, Pete extends a $13,500 note for 120 days at 7% to Tim. So Tim has borrowed the money from Pete. On August 2nd, Pete discounts the note to the bank at 11%. Find Pete's proceeds. So let's walk through this one together again. Step one, we're going to find the maturity value of that original note.
Do you always have to go through the steps that we did? This one too,
Yeah.
for everyone.
Maturity value of the original note. We got to find the interest on $13,500 at 0.07. We need to know how many days. So if you use your table, July 9th is what? 190. August 2nd is 214. So 214 minus 190 is 24 days. So let's find that amount. 13,500 times 0.07 times 24 over 360. $63 in interest. So that is the interest. The maturity value is 13,500 plus 63. So $13,563 is the maturity value. What's step two? Discount period. We already found 24 days. The 24 days, though, is the days that have gone by. We want to know how many days are left. So the term is 120 days minus the 24 days that have gone by. There are 96 days left. That is the discount period. Step 3, bank discount. That is going to be found using the maturity value, $13,563, times their discount rate, which was given as 11%, times 96 over 360. $397.85 is the discount. Step 4, proceeds. $13,563 minus $397.85. $13,165.15. So there, Pete loses money. He lent out the $13,500. He's only going to get $13,165. But he got his money earlier. It's the time value of money. You guys are itching to try one, I know it. Totally. There you go. Way to fake it, at least. Okay, well, let's try this. On November 28th, Pat extends a $8,700 note to Tim at 8.4% for 90 days. On January 18th, Pat discounts the note to a bank for, discounts it at 9.9%. Find Pat's proceeds. Somebody want to look those up for me? I'll write those in quick. 232, and January 18th is 18. You bet. Step 1. We have to find the, what's that?
It's just the dates and the numbers that screw me up. Like I can do the
Oh,
rest,
sure.
but it's just the dates.
Well, in this one, I looped through the end of the year too, which makes the dates more difficult. It's got to happen.
So then don't you take 360 minus?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
2, and then you add
Yeah,
those.
we'll get to that in just a minute. So let's go through our steps. Our maturity value. We've got to find the days from the inception of the note until it's discounted. So yes, you are exactly right. We do 360, since we're going past the end of the year, there's two ways we can do it actually, but the way that makes the most sense to me This is going from November 28th to the end of the year. So that's 365 minus 332, which is 33 days. And then we have gone 33 days, and we're going another 18 days into January, so that's 51 days.
Yeah, 'cause I realized I did the 360 instead of 365.
Oh, there's still 365 days in a year. The 360 only ever gets used in the denominator of your time for simple interest. That you're not the first person to do that. That does happen. There's at least 1 or 2 people a semester that do that. It's still 365.
I had the right idea.
You did. And I said, don't feel bad because there's a lot of people that do that. It's still 365 days in a year. The 360 only appears in the denominator. The other way you could have done that, by the way, is you could do this. 332 minus 18 is how much? 314? Take 365 minus 314. 51 days. That works as well. Do you want me to give you a second to write that down? Okay. Okay, so now let's find our interest. $8,700 at 0.084 for 51 days. So 51 out of 360. So 103.53 is the interest. So add that on. So it's $8,803.53 is the maturity value. So we'll pause here. How many of you had that part? We're on an offer already?
Well, I would have did 365 instead of 360 or whatever.
Well then, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pause.
So stop
I want you to take that maturity value and finish the problem from there. So we're going to pause again for a couple more. So step 2 is to find the discount period. How do we find the discount period? 90 minus the 51 days that have gone by. So it's 39 days is our discount period. What is step 3? Find the bank discount. So we have our interest that's based on that maturity value of $8,803.53. Bank's discount rate is 9.9. So 0.099 times 39 over 360. Most likely, different rate. That's another big common mistake. So 94.42. Bless you. Is the discount. Step 4 is the proceeds, which is going to be the 8803.53 minus 94.42. $8,709.11. Anybody get that? Good deal. Okay. What's that? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think we're getting close. I'm going to have you try one more. I hope. On March 18th, Tim extends a $12,000 note to Sam at 8% for 120 days. On May 5th, Sam pays Tim $4,000. On May 23rd, Tim discounts the note to a bank at 10%. Find Tim's proceeds. Anybody have any clue where to start with this one? Okay. Okay. Somebody want to look up the dates for us? The March 18th? 77, March 18th. May 5th?
125.
And May 23rd? 143? Okay. There's a step that we have to do before we start our process here. We have to actually define the note that is being discounted. The note that's being discounted here is not the $12,000 note. Can anybody tell me why?
Because they paid him $4,000 out of that.
Because Sam already paid $4,000 of it. So what we first must do before we do anything else is account for this partial payment. So our days to the payment. Well, the payment is on May 5th. That's 125. The original loan was on March 18th, which was 77. We subtract there, we get 48 days. Correct? So the interest before the payment is $12,000 times, it was 8%, 0.08 times 48 over 360. $128 in interest. So that means we add the 128 to the 12,000, so it's 12,128, which is the balance before the payment. Then what? Subtract the payment, $4,000. $8,128 is the balance after the payment. So back to defining the note to be discounted. The note to be discounted has a principal of $8,128, the balance after that payment. Its rate is still the 8% or 0.08. Its time is no longer 120 days. It's 120 minus 48. Or 72 days. Does that make sense? So far? Now we can go through the process of discounting that note to the bank. Step 1, find the maturity value of the original note. Well, our interest, 8,128 times 0.08 times 72 over 360. $130.05. So we will add that on with $8,258.05. On to step 2. What is step 2? Find the discount period. So we're going to have to use these dates again. We discounted it on day 143. But remember, it originated on May 5th, on day 125. So I maybe could write that in here. Starting on May 5th. So 143 minus 125 is 18 days. That's the number of days that have gone by. The discount period is found by doing what? Finding the number of days left. So this was 72 days left at the time that the payment was made, minus the 18 days more that have gone by. That's 54 days left. That's the discount period. What's next? The bank's discount. The bank's discount is found by taking the 8,258.05 times, what was the bank's discount rate? 10%. Good. I was nice about something. Times 54 days left over 360. Gives us a discount of $130.75. $130.75. Leading us to step 4. The proceeds. So set maturity value 8258.05 minus the bank discount. $8,127.30. Hey, did I punch it in wrong? Let me try it again. So 8258.05 times 0.1. You gotta remember it's a 10% rate now. Times 54 over 360. Well, now I'm getting 123. Well, I had 57 in there. That's what happened.
123.87.
Yep, I was off. I hit 57 instead of. I gotta do some erasing. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this is going to be 123.87. Sorry. So the discount is 123.87. And that's what we have to subtract from here. $8,134.18. Okay. I think you guys want to try one of those on your own. No? Tell you what, let's take a break. We'll come back and I'll have you guys do one on your own that's not quite that bad. Don't want to take a break? Okay, fine. I'll give you guys one to do on your own. We'll see how it goes. I am going to do this again, though. On December 11th, Steve extends $4,200 to Bill at 7.1% for 90 days. On January 3rd, Steve discounts the note to the bank at 10.3%. Sign Steve's proceeds. That one's not so bad. Do we have to adjust anything before we start the process? No, we're ready to jump right in. Step one is find maturity value. How do we find it? 4,200 times 0.071 times. Careful. The full term of the original note. It's the maturity value of the original note. There were no partial payments here.
Because there are other ones where you use without like partial payments.
Let's scroll back a ways here.
Like the November 28th one.
What did I use here?
51 instead of 90.
I screwed that one up. Yeah. Shoot.
I would have had that one right the first time.
Yes, you probably did have that one right the first time. I'm sorry. Oh. Just for that we get out early. I'm sorry, my meds are really kicking my ass tonight. So. They
You
were.
don't have to subtract?
No, we don't. For the maturity value, you use the term of the original loan. Only if there's a partial payment made, do you subtract. So the interest here is the 4,200 times 0.071 times 90 divided by 360. 74.55. Do you guys want me to give you a chance to finish that one off? Finish it? Okay. We'll do a totally different one. We'll finish this one off and then we'll do another different one. So 74.55. So that's 42.74.55 is our maturity value. So step 2 is the discount period. This is where we have to subtract. Well, we have to figure out how many days have gone by. So it's from 245 to 3. It's going to come out to be 23 days. But it's 365 minus 345 is 20. Plus the 3 days is 23 days. This is what has gone by. This is the days gone by. The days left are the 90 minus 23. So 67 days left. So 67 days is the discount period. I know there's a lot of confusing pieces here, and I screwed one up, which makes it even more confusing. So number 3, bank discount. So the bank discount goes off of this amount, 42.74.55. At their discount rate, which was 10.3%. So 0.103 for the discount period, which is 67 days. $42.74.55 times 0.103 times 67 divided by 360. $81.94. So step 4, spend the proceeds. Which is the 42.74.55. Bless you. Minus the 81.94. 66. Oh, 61. $41.92.61 is the proceeds. So that's what, I forgot his name now. That's what Steve gets from the bank. Okay, let's try another one. See how we do. On August 5th, Tim loans $6,000 to Pat at 6% for 90 days on September 2nd. Tim discounts it to the bank, to a bank, at 9%. Find Tim's proceeds. So I'm going to read off the days for August 2nd. 245. Thank you. Okay, I'll pause and let you guys. Okay. So first, maturity value of the original note. How do we do that? $6,000 times 0.06 for 6%. And give it 360. So we get $90. So $6,090 is our maturity value. How many of you were good that far? Okay. Next, discount period. Okay, so first we're going to find days gone by. That's going to be 245 minus 217. It's 28 days, correct? So the days left is going to be the term of the note, the 90 days, minus 28, or 62 days left. That is the discount period. What do I do for the bank discount? Your interest is the maturity value, 6090. Discount rate from the bank was 0.09. 62 over 360. $94.40, you're correct. So that is the bank discount. Proceeds, $60.90 minus the $94.40, which will give us $5,995.60. How did you get that? Cool. Tom borrows $8,000 on a 7.9% 120 day simple discount note. Find the effective rate. Going back an hour or so. Let's see if you guys can remember how to do that one. So the first step will be to find the discount. The amount of the discount is an interest. 8,000 times 0.079 times 120 over 360. $210.67. Now, because this is a discount note, the proceeds are the 8,000 minus the 210.67. So step 2 is to find those proceeds. $7,789.33. Now we can work on the effective rate. For interest, it's still just going to be I equals PRT. But now for interest, we're going to put in the discount. 210.67. That's going to equal our proceeds of 7789.33 is going in for a principal. We are looking for the rate, and our time is 120 over 360. So now first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine 7789.33 with the 120 over 360. $2596.443 times R. Now I've got to divide. Remember, this is where we're trying to keep it in our calculator if we can. So we're going to do 210.67 divided by that previous answer. 0.081138. Moving the decimal point over 2 spots. 8.1138%. If I rounded to the nearest hundredth, I didn't tell you where to round there. But if I rounded to the nearest hundredth, it'd be 8.11%. How did we have that? Good deal. Okay, there is a quiz due tomorrow. 11:59 p.m. And there is new homework for next week. If anybody wants to stick around and work on their quiz or their homework, I will be here till 8:20, so the computer lab next door here is open. Because I'm sure there's a computer lab open at the other campuses if you want to work. Otherwise, have a great week.